This is Capturing Light, episode number 164 with Francois Dagenais.
Welcome to Capturing Light, a director of photographers podcast, spotlighting cinematography tips, tools, and techniques, inspiring and educating filmmakers like you so you can illuminate your vision. And now, your host, Les Gaddis.
Welcome to the Capturing Light podcast. I'm your host, Les Gaddis, and today we're talking to cinematographer Francois Dagenais. He currently has shot the Apple TV show Smoke, which is beautiful. Like, I've seen it, and I think it's very entertaining show for sure, but also too, like, just the cinematography is beautiful, stellar. And Francois is just a wealth of knowledge, super awesome cinematographer, and I really enjoy the conversation. We talk about the show, obviously. We talk about a ton of things, like how he got started in the industry. It's a great conversation, and here is that conversation with Francois Dagenais.
All right, so I want to thank Francois Dagenais for coming on the Capture Light podcast. How are you doing today?
Very well. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be doing this.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat with you about smoke. But before we get to that, let's talk about like some of your previous work, how you got into the industry, like where did it all start for you?
I had maybe an unusual path because when I was younger, there was TV show, kind of a reality show that lasted about 10 years, where they used to send eight non-professional to travel alone for 6 months, and you will have to do a short film every week.
Oh wow.
And you will be judged, and the winner will be able to do a feature documentary at the National Film Board of Canada. So the year I did it was North America and Africa. So you alone, like they give you money for plane ticket, you have per diem, but you're not being paid. And when you're in Africa, you have to send at the time it was a format called Super VHS.
Mm-hmm.
Just put that in an envelope, either with DHL or FedEx, and then you give editing notes, and somebody will edit those. The year after me, they did Europe and Asia, and the winner of that year, you might have heard of him, is Denis Villeneuve.
Okay, yeah.
So that's how Denis started. And so, what was very interesting for me is I realized by doing all those shorts, I mean, I came out of nowhere, and I apply and I did all the different stages, but I realized how much I was more interested in the visuals than, let's say, writing a text or recording a text. And it's interesting because other people that did the same program became, let's say, radio hosts. A lot of them became journalists, but I realized how much what I was more attracted to was still images. And so that was a great, and it's also great. I was 19 years old. It's a great way to discover kind of the world and experience it and, meet all kind of people. After that, I had a philosophy teacher that was also a film critic
Mm-hmm.
that got me basically some kind of internship so I could be kind of observer um, mentorship program on a feature with a director because I still thought I was wanted to be a director. But I was watching a lot the DP during
Mm-hmm.
this. His name was Eric Kaila, and he took a liking in me and just noticed I was watching his work. He started to show me, look, I click on and on the light. That's a fill light. And I didn't realize really what a DP was doing before. And I was fascinated. And I'm still in touch long time later still in touch with Eric. We had dinner 2 years ago in Vancouver, actually, when he was in town and all that. And so he helped me, we'll meet from time to time and just chat. And it was very inspiring for me. And after that, I went, more of a more or less classical route. I went to a film school, Concordia in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
and did some commercials in Central America where I lived for a year. And then I went to AFI.
Okay.
And right out of AFI, I was very lucky to do my first feature, and it had some known actors. I was not being paid to work for 10 weeks on deferral, but the feature got released in theaters, two theater in New York, two theater in LA, and I had it's called Mascara, and I had an amazing kind of experience. I'd done a first feature, I'd worked with known actors, I did lots and lots of mistake, but I was kind of on a path. And when I came back to Canada, people could see the feature that was low budget, but they recognized some of the actors, some of the locations were really nice. They would probably get it, we most usually got them for free, but nobody knows.
Hmm.
So when they see the feature, they're like, oh, you did this. Wow. And so
Right.
that me same. I did a short, kind of a horror short where we had quite a bit of budget, and a lot of stuff that was given from different rental house and all of that. So when people saw the short and the feature, they're like, "Oh, wow!" So that helped me slowly, but it was a slow path. Like, I'm not saying, "Oh, I
Hmm.
got my first feature." Things were, you know, there was a lot of up and downs after that.
Right. So the first feature and short kind of helped, but it still took a while after that to really kind of continue to get your name out there, to continue
Exactly.
getting work, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then when because you've done TV before Smoke as well. So like when what was like your introduction into the TV side of things versus the narrative film feature side of it?
I think it was kind of slowly, I dipped my foot a bit in TV here and there,
Mm-hmm.
um, from time to time, but not really committed to it. Um, but at some point, I got frustrated in a way with features, um, because you will be waiting a lot, and someone, you're very grateful, will promise you an interview, but you have to be available for something great. You will get the interview, so you're grateful to the person they got you an interview, but then they will go with somebody else, or
Mm-hmm.
the project will be delayed, or the project will lose their financing. So that was partially, I got frustrated sometimes with that. And then the other thing is, I had the chance at some point to do a second unit on a TV show called Transporter.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a bit just removed, but I still learned a lot, and learned a lot with action. They basically had the same team that did all the stunts for cars and the choreographer from the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Order. So, and they were super nice, and I learned a lot with them, and they were really, really helpful. And some days with the stunt team, there was nothing to do, and we'll still show up at the office, and they will explain me how they do things, and they were extremely good with the visuals. So I learned a lot, but I learned a lot also being in the office and listening how you could see other line producer or the AD in prep react. Oh, they haven't shot yet. It's no, no, no. So you could hear all the conversation of how they're perceiving the shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but then after that, I had the chance on working on the series Transporter, and with the showrunner on it, was a very one of the top showrunner, and I spent some times with him. He was not there a lot, but I was able to spend some time. His name is Frank Sputnik. He did a lot of the X Files and do a lot of shows now in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very, very supportive and very complimentary, and that gave me, I think, a huge boost. And the first AD was really happy because we were going at a good pace. I'm like, oh, I think I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then I got, because because of politics and they couldn't agree on a DP, I kind of was able to sneak in on a TV show called Lizzie Borden Chronicle.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great because they had very experienced directors. My first three directors all had done features, like,
Mm-hmm.
all had done big features. And so it was very interesting. It was Stephen K, Russell McKay, and Howie Dodge. So it was very interesting to work with those directors and have the chance to realize that on TV you could work with very established directors. Stephen K was the first one on that show, and he really was very generous in showing me sorry, it was very generous in showing me stuff, how things work. And he did something at the end of the first week of rushes. The person from the studio was really complimentary, and he basically said that it was all me. He was very
Mm-hmm.
involved in the look, Stephen K. But in the camera and all that, he was extremely knowledgeable. But he basically said it was all me. He said it doesn't matter. He said to him, he said it doesn't matter if for me it won't change my career, but it will help you a lot. So he was
Mm-hmm.
very. You meet sometimes people along the way that are just very generous that way. And
Right.
then everybody was like, wow, oh, he did all of this, but it was not true, but he just wanted to help me out. And Russell McKay was someone I knew when I was 14 years old and watching music videos. He's like the biggest music video director of the 80s. The
Mm-hmm.
last two that told him are, uh, I knew his name when I was 14 years old and like his music videos, and he was very surprised. So, but all that to say that from doing that, then afterwards, from doing Lizzie Borden, I realized how still working in TV, you had the chance to working with great people, and it could be really fulfilling. It could be depending of the show you are, very visual. You can have sometimes really good actors. The scene could be as interesting as some of the features or something more than other features. Of course, we'll all aim to do those amazing features that end up at Cannes or in big festivals and do incredible, but those are really, really rare. And so I felt that by focusing on TV, I've been having the chance to still be able to work on great scenes, great episode, and with extremely talented and experienced people, from director to production designer to first AD. When you work with an amazing first AD that can rework the day to help you out or point stuff to you, you're going on a scout and you don't think, and he's the one pointing to you. I think the sun will be in this building at that time and it will really hurt you. And you're like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you work with people that are really, really good at what they do, it just help your life easier. And I find I've been grateful and lucky that a lot of the TV shows I've been able to do in the last few years, I've been with that kind of quality people.
Right. So like with Smoke, was that the beginning of that where you brought on based off of previous relationships that you've had? Like how did you get attached to that project
But
from
yeah,
the
it was
start?
previous relationship. It was actually one of the director of Smoke named Jim McKay.
Mm-hmm.
I'd worked with him on Home Before Dark. Again, that's a very one of those directors that has done does his independent feature, sometimes even lower budget. His last feature was a very low budget called Seventy Dia. It was in Spanish and went to Locarno. But in between, he was a director that will do a lot of the top TV. He has done The Wire, he did Mr. Robot, he did Bush, he did The Good Wife, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, all of those shows.
Right.
So I just emailed him. Hey, I see the show on the list from my agency, and I was wondering if you'll be involved. It seemed the same people at Blackbird. Didn't hear back from him. All of a sudden, I have an interview. So I emailed again. He said, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mention it to you. I didn't reply to you, but I forward your email to one of my best friend. He will be one of the producer of your interview with you." So that's how it happened. He just forwarded my email and said, "Check him out." And so
Right.
because he was one of his close friends, they checked me out. So, but it was me that took the initiative to actually just send him a nice email, just to remind him of me, and
Right.
just say, "Hey, are you involved in this show by any chance? I'm interested. Just wanted to know if you will, and if you could put me in the right direction."
Right. Yeah. So you shot episodes two, three, four, seven, and nine.
Yes.
Okay. So from like a pre-production standpoint, because that's a lot of the show. Like
Yes.
how much of the establishing the look and the visual language and working with the other cinematographer, like could you talk about the pre-production of you how you worked with the other cinematographer, how you
Sure.
came up
Sure.
with the look of the show?
So Sam McCready, great DP, did the pilot. It kind of really, in a way, establish the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Like he chose camera, lenses, hired the crew, and kind of create a language. The thing is, uh, when I think when Sam was shooting or when he was creating that look, I think they had maybe 2 to 4 scripts, maybe 4 scripts top. So you didn't know the full arc of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did is I had something also unusual is all my 5 episodes were with the same director, Joe Chappelle. And so me and Joe were actually in a tech survey of with Sam Carey, the pilot director. We were there and we saw their survey, and we actually were shooting second unit for them on the first day of the shoot. So we started to shoot on the first day of the shoot, and we were still shooting on the last day of the shoot. So we were there the entire time. So what happened is you do this, they created, as I said, Sam created a really strong foundation for the look, but then the show, and I'm not saying revealing anything, is a lot of twists from anybody that ever read a novel from Dennis Lehane. It's a
Mm-hmm.
Lehane. Sure, I should pronounce his name properly. Dennis Lehane. You do all. There's a few twists and turns, and characters really evolve like they do in a novel.
Mm-hmm.
When that happened, the look has to also involve. The look has to change, and you have to basically react to the new information, the new development, and you have to also find the right visual to emotionally connect with how the scenes are and how the episodes are and responds to the journey of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So you discover how the actors are and you adapt to it. So the look had to change and evolve from it just based on the story arc.
Right.
But we respect the foundation that were there, and as I say, Sam did a great thing in creating a foundation. But then it's a bit like you start building a house, and there's different shape the house is taking. It's like you didn't have, you're not respecting maybe the master plan, and you're starting to do a lot of add on to the house, and a lot of new floors and new things uh, to that. So that's what happened. Uh, and then so that's really, so they left and we did 3 episode, and then after that uh we did those two. So yeah, and then Todd arrived, uh correct, and then we talked, but they were doing this own thing. The good thing for the show is both Joe and Jim McKay, the other director, had worked with Dennis previously on Blackbird, but
Mm-hmm.
also they had met him when he was a writer on The Wire. Not saying they were close to him, but they had met him there, so they already know a bit how to be with him. So the other director, Jim, knew quite a bit of them, and then Todd McCullen did 3 episodes, and we met, and I explained him what had been done, or the rushes, how we're adapting, uh, and came to set. Also, we had a really good crew that was really helpful in communicating with Todd and communicating to me what Sam had done, and then we could adjust and still feel at the same world, you know?
Right, yeah. So, can you talk a little bit about like what steps you took to keep the look consistent? And is, like I know that some things kind of ebb and flow and change, but like kind of being there from the beginning and then, kind of carrying and working through the show. Does the consistency happen because of the fact that you're working with the same crew day in and day out, or like how do you keep a consistent look for a TV show for the entirety of the season?
That's a very good question. I mean, you always, by the way, you're always wondering, you're always wondering, will that work? Will that not work? I think it's really a matter um, of you looking at the image as it feels still from the same world. The way I always start is I look at all the rushes, which is all the daily images that are gathering by the other team, and these usually stills that the post house does, and and the DIT does stills as well with all the info. And I find those are very helpful because you just give you a sense of the type of images they are.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you on set, you can always refer to those image, and then your dit, in this case, had a great dit named Chris Bolton. It will remind you if you're off, and sometimes you want to be off. Sometimes you're like, "Hey, I want to change this. I want it very different. It's not the same because of this reason. I know we haven't done this in the past, but because of this, I think we can do it." It's like, okay. And I spoke usually when I do something like that, it's something that will have been discussed both with Dennis and with Joe Chappelle, my director. So it was very clear. So there was no surprises. It's not
Mm-hmm.
something that would have been planned. And but otherwise, you still want to see if it's the same world, and you look, and then you discuss that, of course, with your gaffer and your key grip. And so you just see, okay, does it feel like the same world? Your camera operator, we had a few through a season, but you main one, the core of the camera operator, A and B, they were there before, so they know if it's the same feel or not. So the team is there to also, you have a team to support you, and just make it match. Uh, but sometimes the weird things is you can light things differently, and visually, when you look at it, it still feel the same.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the important things is really how does the image feel that it belong to the same world.
Yeah.
Um, and the last step we haven't spoken, but of course, there's the final colorist.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, we had Ziggy at Company 3, that was really, great to also make everything feel seamless at the end to just help carry that.
Right. And how involved were you in the coloring? Did you go to Company 3 and kind of sit in? Like, did they send you like were you watching it remotely? Like,
We
what
did
was the
remote session. We did
Okay.
remote session, so I could see live what he was doing and make comments. So usually I will send him notes. I will see the episode edited. I will send him notes with time codes on scenes or images that I had a bit of issue with, or stuff I really liked from the stills. And I say, hey, look at this still and this still. I really like this look. And then I will review it with him for a few hours, what he had done. And sometimes we'll fix this, and he say, hey, I will do this. And then after Dennis and David Diliberto, the post producer, that was also very involved, will review it together.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I will say to Ziggy, I want to remove this way, and he's, oh, I'm not sure. So yeah, if they don't like it, I'm not sure. Like I don't know if they like it. And I said, listen, just say it's me. They could change it.
Mm-hmm.
They there to change it. Since sometimes I will leave a scene where maybe it was just a bit different, and I will make it clear that we could always change it. And if they're not happy, um, they're the last, they're the last one watching it. So, but it's at
Right.
least I would like to offer it. I'll offer it to them that way. So that's a bit how we did it for every episode.
Okay. And I know I believe you mentioned that you shot on the Venice 2 and the Hawks.
Yeah.
Um, could you talk a little bit about the decision behind that? What you may have liked about shooting with either the Venice 2 or like the look of the Hawks. Could you, for the audience that might not be as familiar with, let's say the Hawk lenses or shooting with the Venice 2, like what really helped in telling the story?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I think it was my first time shooting with the Sony Venice, and it was my first time also with the Hawks. And I haven't shot that much anamorphic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay, I'm going to learn. And I didn't know to be honest, what to expect. Um, but I was extremely impressed with both. Like I will work with those again. Like I was really, really impressed with both. So, and the Sony Venice, for example, was really, we were able to do, there's a scene we did in a kitchen, and it's just, it's a very, it's just a talking scene, long talking scene between Taron Egerton and Greg Kinner. And we were able to put a bulb in where the hot above the stove is, and the stove the we use the bounce of the stove on the actors. It's basically we use little lights after to shape it, but that's the key light.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that this scene was able to is because the Venice was able to make the highlights from the kick on the stove and the bulb of the that is lighting them not still remain detailed. If
Right.
you have those details, then this image wouldn't have the same quality. But because we're able to keep the details, and because the blacks were also very good, then it became a very, for example, a very, very strong scene, and a scene that was very good for the actors because they had a lot of room to move, uh, and they had a lot of freedom because it was a bounce between them, so they had a lot of freedom to still move and do stuff. And I feel that other type of camera will have had 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I'm not sure you will have had the same latitude. And
Right.
using the full latitude, you were able to get something very natural and at the same time very striking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the main ways I felt that the Venice was very, very good. And also shooting at 3200 ASA at night on night exterior, you're really, since this is kind of a greedy show, you pick up some practicals and stuff deep in the alleyway. Of course, we were putting our own lights and all that, but you still pick up extra stuff and extra life, sometimes deeper of the city. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's really important and amazing. Uh, at night, the more you can have, if you're shooting something, as I said, a bit gritty and a bit urban, from in a kind of a downtown environment or a city part of town, that you do have the flavor of the city, that you feel all the different type of lights and all the different industrial lights. Maybe you have deep in the background, you could see a bit the port, like in our case, but it makes the image more alive. And also
Right.
more more grounded in reality.
Yeah,
Uh,
so speaking of more alive, and this is, I think, getting more on the technical aspect of things. Fire is alive and like
yeah,
hard to control. And it takes precision to make sure that there's safety and like
yeah.
and all that. How are you exposing for a show that like has big fire scenes and like for someone that might just be doing like this random campfire scene or whatever, like could you talk about like, okay, I know you were talking about 3200 base ISO on the Venice, like are you rating the camera a certain way, like are you like how are you exposing to make sure that the fire looks as good as it does on the show and that you still get the feel that you're wanting.
we usually what we did is we were trying to keep more of the details. So we're much more at 800. So you're trying to keep detail in the fire.
Hmm.
Again, the Venice had a great range to help us. The DIT, as I say, Chris Bolton was really, really good, and Ziggy was really good. And also on this show, we had, the special effects team was strong. The after some of the fire had to be also VFX, and the VFX team I think did an amazing they did an amazing job as well. So those are all the things that. But personally, I try. Uh, I tend to want it to give, if you can, more details,
Hmm.
more detail in the fire, and sometimes that mean also maybe find ways to augment maybe the fire with some lights. It could even be old Maxi Brute or no, or Dino lights that are not expensive. We could use with the right gels and just put at the right place. We use that quite a bit sometimes, just to bring it up to allow you then to have more detail in the fire.
Right.
But again, I would be interesting to even do a scene where you could even bring lights just out of the fire and really see how the Venice in the max setting, what can you get? How much detail do you still get? Is it still interesting?
Right.
That's something very curious to do. Um,
Yeah. As far as kind of going to optics, and I know you mentioned like that this was obviously shot on anamorphic and like your findings kind of after going through an entire season, what what do you like or dislike about shooting either anamorphic, and like what were your findings after kind of seeing, going through color and establishing a look? What do you what are your thoughts about it?
I like actually, I mean, I was actually very happy uh, with how the anamorphic worked, especially for this project.
Hmm.
I think it was well suited for it. I like how the it started to, the fall off and the focus worked very well. But mostly, I felt those lands were not, they were not vintage in the sense that they were old.
Hmm.
There was something. They were modern, but with a retro feeling.
Hmm.
I like that kind of combo, which I think fills the show. It's still a show that takes place today, but he is a bit of that 70s feeling. So I like that those lands, we could have had very old. You could find now, as you know, a lot of so many options of old glass, and you could find lens, I'm sure, from the 60s if we wanted to.
Hmm.
I like about those is they were modern lens, but with retro feeling, which I thought was the best combo.
Right.
And I liked how they flare and we use it not. in a crazy way, but from time to time, how the flare we try to use the flare at the right moment to create the right emotion. But those kind of round flare were just enough. They were never overbearing. They were never taking the shot. They were just adding. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like the right spice, you put in your sauce. It's not taking over the recipe. It was just
Mm-hmm.
adding just what it needs. And so I was very, very impressed. Yeah, with those lands and what they were able to do that way. I was
Right. And was did you ha add any additional filtration, or was it
no,
basically just the Hawks and they had the look that you needed?
exactly.
Okay, great. Great, great. And then last kind of technical
Yeah, of
question, because
course.
I know you mentioned using like maxi brutes and things like that. Um, were you using more hot lights or a combination of that with like LEDs and things? Because I know fire has a certain, color temp, and you always, depending on how much fire you're using versus the effects and things, like, do you feel like you were able to use kind of modern lights and LEDs to kind of simulate some of the
Did both.
practice? Okay.
So there was definitely depending on the section and also how much punch you needed. We had banks of Dinos and Maxi Brutes, but we also used sometimes depending for the faces or something if I wanted something softer. We use, just the classic bunch of 360s or S60s
Yeah.
together to some kind of diffusion, so maybe a bit lighter diffusion, sometimes heavier, and still have the same quality. Uh,
Hmm.
so we did both.
Okay. And then for like someone that might look at smoke and they're just like, man, I really love this show. I love the look of it. I never thought that becoming a cinematographer is an option, but now like I want to do that. What advice would you give to that young person or the person that might want to switch career paths and jump into cinematography?
Wow, that's a great, great question. Um, I mean, I don't think the thing is, I don't think there's one path.
Hmm.
I think the most important things. There's the two more important things. I think somehow you have to find a way to train your eye, and there's no one way. Everybody has different approach to get there. Uh, and so that's one thing. And but that's I think very important because it's really how do you see, how do you establish a scene, and there's different, as I say, some people go to film school, some people work on will go up working on the crew and will learn that way. Some learn from still photography. Like there's not one way, but I think training your eye and then learning how to collaborate and communicate is a key.
Hmm.
And that's not still today. It's not always. I'm trying to always make sure am I understood? Do people and is it clear? Did I communicate that at the right time and the right things? So much of uh, um, a shoot is based of many, many departments, and that all have to go smoothly. And you interact as a cinematographer. We don't realize how many. At first, when I was in film school and all that, I didn't realize how many departments you interact with.
Right.
Uh, how much you have to interact with the art department, but not just the production designer. The greens will ask you about the trees outside on the stage, and all the logistics and productions have questions, but then also transport asking you where they could park the truck and not be in the shot, and you have to make sure that they won't be, and all like, and so you just have to make sure you communicate the right answer the best way possible. So there's no trying to avoid any confusion. Uh,
Right.
but so I think those are the two aspects. But there's no, there's not. I'm surprised sometimes where I listen to how someone came to become a cinematographer and that other person took one road. Like I'm always amazed how like when I was at AFI, it was amazing that someone came from doing lighting in opera, someone had been a camera assistant on big movies. There was a Japanese cinematographer that had done amazing movies, and some had been to Cannes, but he said the industry at the time had no money, so he basically never used lights. He was used to doing stuff all with natural lights 30 years ago and was
Mm-hmm.
doing this amazing work. So he came to the States to learn how to use lights because he said in
Right.
the industry, their budgets right now were at the time, I don't know, I'm not saying today, but that was like 30 years ago, were very um were very small. But he was doing amazing work. So it's all people all come with their own their own way. I remember someone had been an assistant to this still photographer that was also doing commercials. And they spent a few years in the office and they started to do B-rolls, shoot B-rolls for the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they became a DP. So there's no one way. And I think also one of the suggestions I will do is it's good to be exposed to maybe other art form. And
Mm-hmm.
something I personally didn't do enough. Uh, like if you can work uh, on a play and really see how the actors are, and if you could, shoot for a video installation with a great visual artist, I think those are just opportunities that later will help you.
Mm-hmm.
I think traveling is good, and having also, if you can have some kind of social point of view or just social experience, if you do documentaries and you're exposed to social situation that you had no idea, I just think it will help you later on if you do narrative and read scripts to have a point of view, have compassion, have understanding of certain situation.
Right. Yeah, no, great advice. That like, yeah, uh being able to relate to characters and, like empathize and pull emotion is, I think, something that like it doesn't feel visual, but helping connect an audience to a character's experience, whether they're a protagonist or antagonist, really help. Yeah, such great advice. Um, how can people keep up with what you're doing? Where's the best place to like follow you or like check out your website? Can you give your ways to contact you or go to your
Yeah, I think
website?
still on my website, it's my name, francoisdagenais.com. And I'm also on Instagram. I'm trying now to be more. I
Hmm.
go back and forth with social media, but right now I'm in a phase where I'm a bit more. But yeah, I guess that's about it.
Awesome. Francois, thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
some time. Like this has been incredible show. I appreciate you and it's been
You.
awesome.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure. Take care.
So again, I want to thank Francois for coming on the Capture Light podcast. Be sure to keep up with what he's doing. Go to his website, go to his Instagram, follow him because he's awesome. He has some great work, and he's a good person. So definitely do that. If you have any questions for me personally, because why not? You can hit me up on Instagram. It's just at Les Gaddis. You can send me an email. Best place probably right now is info@gaddisvisuals.com. Uh, yeah, like this has been another good one. If you are new to the show, thank you so much for listening. If you are old listener to the show and realized that now I have ads. I know. It's a new thing, and I was just thinking about it. I've been doing this show since 2015 and haven't really done any ads. But, like I've been paying out of pocket for hosting all these years and doing all of this myself. And I was like, you know what? The least that I could do is just put ads, so that way it just makes it free for me to do this, free for me to work. So like, even if the ads just cover doing the show, so that way I don't have to pay out of pocket, why not? So if there's an ad and you listen to it, thank you, because you're helping the podcast continue and helping me not have to pay out of pocket to bring these conversations to you. Because I enjoy doing these conversations. I enjoy doing the podcast when I can. And I enjoy having you as a listener. So, yeah, like, I appreciate you. Oh, now that I'm thinking about it, so if you are wanting community, like, the best place for us to connect and talk that is outside of Instagram, go to my website, lesgaddis.com, and then there's a community tab. Click that, and then in there will be a button that you hit to join the Discord. Join the Discord. Like, say hey. Like, one of the biggest things that I found in this last year of just constantly being, like, in the LA network and, in film school and all the things, it's just community. It's awesome to be able to talk to other creatives. And, I know a lot of people are, offering different, like, offers for, like, pay this to join the community, blah, 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 this and that. No, just go to my website and then, like, join this community called Direct the Photography. And, like, it'll be fun. Like, we'll chat, we'll talk, we might do watch parties, things like that. Like, at this point, I'm just trying to build a great community online of, cinematographers that feels like family. Because, like, cinematography can be kind of lonely. It's like I'm saying this and I'm laughing, but also too, I'm like, yeah, I felt that. And I've been fortunate enough to connect with some really, really great cinematographers, not only in film school, but then also too, just through like these conversations. So if you are looking for that, then go to my website, lesgaddis.com, click the community button, join the Discord, and say hey, and I'll say hey back, and then we can chat. That's all I got. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Capturing Light.
Thanks for listening to Capturing Light with Les Gaddis, a Director of Photographers podcast. Inspiring and educating filmmakers like you so you can illuminate your vision. A Gaddis Visuals production.